We're out of time and out of space, lamenting for the human race. A cataclysmic crisis from the past. A small blue world, thunder torn, an apocalyptic nightmare born, and mankind better learn to cope with it fast.
You are listening to Happy Jack's RPG Podcast, pursuing the RPG hobby with reckless abandon.
Protectors rise! Inhuman foes meet your demise! And boom, boom, boom! Your end is nigh! Another night, another fight.
Why, hello, and welcome to Season 24, Episode 19 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Kimmy.
And this is Tappy.
Is your mic muted?
There we
you.
go. I'm Tappy.
Just kidding. Listen.
We're still listening to your awesome song.
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
No, you guys can still hear it. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll stop that.
I was distracted.
I faded it down, but
Yes. We have
you guys aren't on the same channel.
No.
All right. Oh, by the way, we have a game convention coming up August 31st, September 1st, 2nd, 3rd, LAX Hilton Hotel. This would be Orcon?
This
Gateway 2019.
SeptemberCon.
SeptemberCon. Well, now August SeptemberCon.
Yeah, it still counts.
It does. Well, it's mostly in September.
Ogstrom Thunder?
my
it doesn't work. Never mind. That's a terrible joke. Ignore me.
Ogtembercon.
Yeah, that's better.
Ogtember.
August Personage Con. Never
I got my room booked. I may run a Call of Cthulhu game that will weave into the campaign.
Ooh.
I'm not sure. It may be set in a... I can't say. But it won't be... It may not take place in the 1920s.
Okay.
And I don't know what else I'm going to run. I'm thinking about running the game at like 8 to midnight on Friday.
Oh, cool.
Because it's Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
And rooms are usually not as full then.
Right. The gaming
If I
rooms.
can stay up that late.
I don't know.
and
You're kind of
function.
old.
I am.
Yeah.
I am. I love my sleep.
Yeah.
So that's coming up. Also, the Kickstarter for Jason's Demigods
Yes.
PBTA hack is still going strong. He's at, what, 3 times?
He's been, 300% funded now. It's past 22K, I think.
Oh, is it? Good.
Yeah,
Awesome.
his original ask was 6K.
It was 6 or 8.
Yeah, something
and
like
he
that.
hit that in like 2 hours.
Yeah, the first couple
Real
hours.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So check that out still.
And also,
demigodspbta.com.
right.
That's where you go for
And that will take you to the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Well, there'll be a link there too.
Yeah, there's a link there.
Also, if you like listening to the music I write and produce, I have a new collection called Crime, Betrayal, and Horror, which you can find pretty much everywhere now. It's on iTunes, it's on Google Play, it's on Spotify. It won't be on Pandora because they're dicks. It might be, I don't know, but probably not yet.
They shut the box and now nothing can get out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's curated. So you need to have a lot of people who subscribe to it to bitch about they can't find something there. And then, if the hipsters who decide what goes on there decide it's worthy of going on there, they'll put it on there.
So if they haven't heard of it, then it can go on. Then.
Probably. Or if they've heard of it but no one else has.
Yeah.
So it's everywhere. It's 5 songs. It's got the song you just heard, which is Boom Boom Boom, which is which was the theme for our Savage Worlds Rifts game.
Yeah.
But it's completed. It has both verses. I fitted it up before you could hear the second verse, though.
I
Oh,
know.
sorry. Also, the brand newly minted Happy Jack's Anthem is on there as well.
Yes.
And then it's also got the Casilda's song, which is the Call of Cthulhu song that we're using, and it's got the country version of the AP song "Thousand Souls,"
That's a great one.
and it also has a new song I wrote called "Betrayed by My Dice," which is like a breakup song about someone and their dice.
Nice.
And then on the next album, I'm going to write like "My Roller Left Me" song about the die lamenting the fact that they've been abandoned.
Oh.
That'll be the next one.
They're bereft of purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I figured dice probably react the way dogs would react to being abandoned. It's probably that visceral.
Aw.
Yeah.
Oh, now I feel sad. Like,
Right, because they don't know.
What about like pet rocks though? What if they was like pet rocks?
It could be that as well. That's very dated. There's a lot of people listening who don't know what you're talking about. One of them might be in this room.
I know what pet rocks are. Sometimes your dice deserve to get broken up with. I'm just gonna say.
All right. It's not like they have any control over it. All right. In this episode, Bevan writes in about fostering a next generation GM. This is kind of the episode about dealing with kids.
Oh, I'm so glad I'm here.
Drail88 writes in about, and these are my words, the case of the teenage edgelordling.
Oh no.
And Ben from Texas throws in his 2 cents about players choosing to fail. But first, if you'd like to email us, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com, which we can now log into again.
Yay!
A long story. Don't.
They locked us out. Boy, those big mega tech corporations are fucking faceless monoliths.
It's fine. Everything's fine. Let's continue.
What happened? I have no idea.
Stu's only had it forwarded to his personal email for like years.
A decade. Almost
and
a
so
decade.
At one point, he
wait. This is our 10th.
Yeah.
This is our 10th anniversary.
Today is.
It actually would have been last
week.
last Friday.
But you had a cold.
I had a cold.
And I wasn't
sick,
here anyway,
And you
so
weren't
it's
here. But this is our 10th year.
Wow.
We're 10 years old, guys.
Right. That's awesome.
A decade of our bullshit. That's amazing.
I can't.
For the first one where like Stu just wrote kind of like a bunch of things for us to talk about, and we just kind of bullshitted in that room.
Well,
Yeah.
I remember it was on my birthday weekend. I did the episode 0, which was like a little 10 or 15 minute thing, like an intro.
Right.
And then the next week we came in. So this would be the first 10th anniversary of the first proper episode.
Right.
Oh man.
That's a long time.
Do I have my?
That's amazing. We should have done something special. Too bad we didn't remember.
Too bad we're idiots.
That's crickets. Crickets for our 10th anniversary.
Yeah. What is going on?
You have big fingers. It's not working. Your sandboard's not working.
There it goes.
Go away, Peyton.
All right. So, come on, Idiocracy. It's a great film.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's our 10th anniversary. Wow.
Yay! Go us.
We're also on social medias.
We are.
We have forum, happyjacksforum.com.
Yeah.
Happyjacksforum.com. We're on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and MeWe. I've been posting on MeWe once in a while. Not a lot, but once in a while. Someone asked me a question on there. I answered it today. HappyJacksRPG, all one word. And then if you'd like to watch the show live, you go to happyjacks.org/live at 7 p.m.-ish Pacific time on Fridays, and you can hear and watch the show live and see our faces, looking at your faces.
Yeah.
Pitter patter.
Yeah. Check out happyjacks.org/schedule for our schedule of all our APs and everything that we do during the week, because we have a bunch of those all the time.
Yes.
Happening. It's very good.
Oh, and I just want to say, if you haven't watched Letterkenny on Hulu,
Okay.
if you're in Canada, you probably get it off of, what is it? What did I say? What is the name of that?
Crave.
Crave. You probably get it off Crave. But I discovered that about 2 weeks ago, and I'm now watching the entire series on my second pass.
Yeah, since this is our 10th anniversary, you're well aware of Stu's obsessions and how they come and go. And this is the latest one.
And this is the latest one.
Wait, what?
Letterkenny.
Right?
I never even heard of it.
It's kind of a.
He'll tell you all about it.
I'll tell you all about
yeah.
it. Well, it's very, very funny and very Canadian. And profane.
That sounds perfect.
Not like
Yeah,
polite Canadian.
I don't know it's happy. I don't know if you can handle the profane part of it. So we're reading
Canadian
emails.
profanity.
I wish you weren't so fucking
dumb
awkward,
doodle.
bud. All right, that's a quote. And there's memes. Go look up Letterkenny memes, and you'll see thousands of them. They're literally everywhere. Okay, so that's that. Oh, first email.
Yeah.
Oh, should we sing Happy Birthday, George? Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday, Happy Jacks. Happy birthday to us. There, we did our big 10th anniversary shindig. Woo.
Mazel tov.
We kind of had a key. That was fine.
Yeah, and we'd talked about doing something about this.
We did.
We've been talking about it all year.
Yep.
Wait, we have?
Yep.
Well, Kimmy and I have, yeah. I was like, yeah, we should probably do something. Come up with
It's
some
not
kind of
my
thing.
fault
Like,
that it's the weekend after Comic-Con.
right, well, yeah.
I had no brain. All right.
Fostering a next-gen GM from Bevan. Greetings, Happy Jackers. I write to ask for some advice on how to best assist a brand new GM. My 14-year-old son who wants to get into tabletop RPGs. His father and I are longtime gamers, but have been in an RPG desert for a while after our group fell apart and work pressures killed off a long-running play-by-post campaign I was running. To give some context for the questions at the end. After a brief flirtation with Fate Accelerated that I GM'd,
Oh my.
the boy decided he wants to run L5R 4th edition.
Woot.
Finally putting to use the books my husband bought years ago and that have been sitting on our shelves unused ever since. We whipped up 2 young Dragon Clan Murimoto Bushi, thinking the fighter class is generally the easiest to work with in an unfamiliar crunchy system. Yes. My husband played serious and stoic Kaisuke, who really likes his katana.
I think that's supposed to be Kitsuke, but it's spelled wrong. It's another dragon family. They're the...
Well, that's his name, though. It's his character's name.
Oh, it's the character's name?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because they're both Murimotos, who really likes his katana.
Oh, okay. I thought there was a third one.
Yeah. And my PC, an overconfident, not very bright, and friendly fellow with a beer belly named Ueda. Oh, very nice. Thank you. That is one of the NPCs from my game.
Yeah.
Who died honorably.
He did.
He did. And his grandson was the daimyo in the last game, I think. We just had our first session, which started with an announcement that the Emperor is dead. And hey, let's have a tournament for noobs in which all the competitors were supposed to be of equivalent level. First are regionals, with representatives of various Dragon Clan families to find out who will advance to the nationals before the new Emperor and compete against the winners from the other clans' competitions. That's kind of, well, it's almost kind of like what is it?
Bring it on.
Yes.
The
Yes.
Bring It On is an underrated movie.
I love that movie.
the Jade Tournament or
Tournament of the Topaz Champion.
that maybe is one.
That is, I think that was the very first published game to play.
Okay.
Or I think actually it was in the back of the original first edition book or something like that.
It's like it was like intro.
Yes,
right.
the
I want to
intro
go
one.
home right now, and I want to write PBTA Bring It On. I want that to be a thing. I want to play it really badly.
I'm working on a PBTA Letterkenny.
Ooh.
Where nothing happens but people sit and cuss each other out.
You'd be good. That's good.
Pitter patter.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I should do that as a one shot. L5R, Bring It On, one shot at the next con.
There you go.
Yeah. People die.
Other clans competition. Ueda was eliminated quickly, going full attack and getting his ass handed to him by his opponent, Fusoshi. It's all good. He bought her a few drinks, and we role-played some light joking around among the PCs and various NPCs. When it came time for Fusoshi to fight Kaisuke, she lost, and the boy leaned in and declared she was off her game because she overindulged in sake. The twist for the regional Dragon Clan tournament is that someone let in a ringer, a competitor who is clearly not a noob and is far more advanced than everyone else. Our daimyo was instructed to investigate this fellow, find out who he is, and how he was set up to join a tournament that was supposed to be limited to relatively inexperienced folks. Our daimyo directed us to report back in 3 days.
Woohoo!
We will report back in 2 days. Well played, well played. Kaitsuke was a wet towel and insisted we take the full 3 days we were offered.
Boo.
That's where things stand after the first session, and I hope for some advice on how we can best encourage the boy to continue. He seems to be enjoying this so far, is really excited about L5R, and wants to eventually launch a game group with his friends after getting some experience under his belt. He tends to criticize himself mid-play, apologizing for having to look up rules, as if we aren't all three doing that. Hell, I didn't even read the book. Saying things like, I know I'm not narrating this very well, or I know this is a lousy description of what you see, or I really suck at transitions between scenes, sorry. In other words, he struggles with self-confidence and a fear of screwing up, not unusual for him, alas. We've told him we also sucked when we started GMing, and sometimes still do, and that he'll get more comfortable as he gets more practice. As far as not knowing the rules, none of us know them well at this point, and the spouse and I pointed out that it was a great idea to have this mini tournament as a way for us to start wrapping our heads around the combat rules. Yes, I also deliberately made a character who likes to talk to people and therefore will interact with his NPCs, well played, and have promised him we will latch on to any plot hook he waves in front of us. Beyond that, do you have any advice on how to best support a new GM so he can develop his skill set that will, we hope, launch him into his own gaming group with his friends? Thanks, Bevan.
Very nice.
No PS.
I'd say just keep going. Like, it's kind of like singing, right? You got 10,000 wrong notes to sing, so
Right.
you might as well get them all out as soon as possible.
Exactly. Well, it's like when what was it? Ernest Hemingway. Your first 10,000 words are shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like he's off to a great start. Like, it's a really great, like you said, like starting with a tournament is a really great idea. It's like a limited scope. You get to try out a lot of the rules. It's an interesting start to a campaign. So
And you have a kind of investigative thing of like, who is this person? But it isn't like following a trail of like a killer or something like that. They can go around and find stuff. And the Dragon Clan is relatively unique in the fact that they actually investigate things rather than go, hey, who is this person? I don't know. Okay, thanks. And leave. Right?
Right.
Like, sincerity isn't like nearly as much like desired as actual evidence.
Right.
So I mean, yeah.
And
just keep going.
he's also set up a good adventure where you're going to have different tenets of Bushido that are going to be in conflict when you find out who this guy is and maybe how high up in the Dragon Clan this person is, and by divulging this, are we going to be putting dishonor on the clan? I mean, there's all kinds of complications that he's putting in. He's doing a great job. He obviously read the book and has grokked that. I think the thing that probably gives me the biggest punch in the arm is when players want to talk about the game away from the table. So even having conversations that he's not part of, that he's there discussing theories about who it might be or what might be going on and stuff like that, just to make sure in a very organic way that he knows that he's piqued your interest and that he's doing it right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, as far as the apologizing for stuff, I think that's probably pretty common early on for GMs.
That's super normal.
I mean, and I think that confidence comes with experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really normal for, like, specifically women and kids, specifically because society kind of, like, teaches us to apologize for things.
Right.
Like, 100%, oh, you should apologize for, like, your kids in the school system. And that's part of, I'm going to admit the bad things about the school system. We teach kids to apologize whenever anything's wrong.
Right.
So that's going to be an automatic thing that they probably do, like, whenever they're nervous also.
Just
So-
in case this is wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, so you're not extra mad at me.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. So, handling expectations ahead of time just in case. So, and that should dissipate with while their confidence grows.
I also think it's just great to bullshit about that game, or about game worlds in general. I like hanging out and talking about them, but this one in particular is a lot of fun to like hang out and bullshit about.
Oh, it's so good.
And so this can also help you guys kind of develop how you feel like certain clans work, because there's a lot of writers that have been around for L5R. It's been in here for like 20 years plus.
Right.
And not all of them are good. But also, like, you know, how, like, the tenets of Bushido go, how, you know, you feel like that whole concept of samurai as, like, a servant works, as opposed to a bushi as, like, a warrior. But yeah, I mean, just talking about clans is so much fun. I could fucking do it for hours and hours and hours and hours.
He does.
Yeah.
And he did the same thing that I did, which is like, I don't understand why all these people from these different clans would cooperate with each other.
Yeah.
So let's make everyone from one clan.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It is very difficult to do a multi-clan game.
Yeah.
I bet. Unless it's some kind of magistrate investigation thing where you've all been appointed or something.
Yeah. Or it's some sort of winter court where you all hate each other and try and kill each other.
Right. Right.
I would also take them to like a local con if you can, if you have one, because I have learned the most about GMing from being in other people's games and seeing things that I liked, seeing things that I didn't like, seeing things that I could adopt that would work for me, things like that. If you can't make it to a local con, a second best thing would be watching actual plays or listening to actual plays.
Don't let a 14-year-old listen to mine.
No. Don't listen.
Yeah, ours are languagey.
Yeah.
Although 14.
14, yeah.
He cusses.
Yeah.
Maybe not in front of you, but he
Make,
cusses.
make your parental guidance choices with that. But and it doesn't even just have to be L5R. Like the things that work and that you like for GMing one system, most of them, other than like the basic rules and like and mechanics for stuff, will transfer very well to most other systems. So like get them out there, seeing things that they like, getting some like role models and stuff like that.
Oh, and especially I'm going to double down on what you're saying about conventions. Being in a game where someone else is GMing, almost every time I do that, I learn something about GMing.
Absolutely.
It may be what not to do sometimes, but that's a valuable lesson too. But very often it's like, oh, I hadn't thought about describing things that way, or I haven't thought about doing this. I always thought players would have a problem with that, but it seemed fine. You know what I mean?
I love how they use index cards to keep track of like whatever it is, initiative order, whatever.
Right.
Like amazing things that you wouldn't necessarily see just playing with the same people all the time.
And yeah, if you can get them to one, he's probably going to freaking love it.
Yeah.
But I mean that's a fantastic thing, and also actual plays, especially L5R ones. And there's a really good walkthrough on does it Mook who put that up? Did the Mook put that out? Or was it the Mook?
I don't know.
Someone put up a really good walkthrough
For 4th edition?
4th edition combat.
Yeah.
That uses
Where?
almost. I don't remember where it was.
Was it a video?
Yeah, speaking
No,
of which,
it was just a
page?
narrative page.
I would like to give Bevan a little bit of advice here. When it comes to L5R, not getting hit is really important, and full attack is dangerous.
Oh yeah, you
It's
wouldn't do
so dangerous. Yeah, it's really, really dangerous. Now,
I'm assuming they weren't using real sorcery.
Yeah.
Might be dead.
now, in 4th edition, the book recommends that you take your Earth times 5 for like your first wound level.
Right.
And I think that's bullshit. You should use 2.
Yeah.
Another thing I would suggest, whenever I'm running a game, I get really kind of into the setting of it. I tend to read books in that type of setting, watch movies in that type of setting, make playlists. Like when I was running Wild Talents, like I made a whole like country playlist that was like all movie soundtracks from westerns and stuff like that. Tappy's gonna die. He's very excited.
I'm super excited. No, because I'm going to go watch the Zatoichi movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, those are fantastic.
Awesome, right?
100%.
Or like Yojimbo, or like the Kurosawa movies and
Yeah.
stuff. They're just freaking awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
I for the last every time I've run 3 campaigns of L5R now. Every time I run a campaign, I went on Amazon. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I went on Amazon Prime and I bought a bunch of samurai movies.
Yeah. Look too, because there's a lot of novels and stuff set in feudal Japan specifically. There's a lot of information. At least in California, feudal Japan is part of the 7th grade curriculum, so there are some like young adult novels.
Is it
set.
really?
Yeah. It's so cool. I taught it for a long time. I did like a whole risk game with my class. Each table group was a separate clan, and they like
in the
and they got
Sengoku period?
Yeah, they got points every day, and they could spend the points however they wanted. As far as like they could get armies, they could get food, or they could get, or they could save it. and like then they could attack each other. They had to roll dice. So eventually, every time we did it every year, one clan took over the whole thing. But yeah, anyway, sorry, I went down
what
that.
happened.
Yeah, exactly. It was like Risk, but it was very fun. But yeah, check it out. There's a lot of cool resources.
It was like Risk, but was fun.
They thought it was cool.
No, you're not wrong.
No.
Ron, the Kira Kurosawa film, which is King Lear. I think it's kind of based on King Lear. And then anything with Toshiro Mifune.
Yeah.
Any samurai movie with Toshiro Mifune.
I think
is
Toshiro
fantastic.
Mifune is in Yojimbo. I think he's a samurai
Yes.
with no name.
Yeah, I think he is.
And there actually is a Yojimbo versus Zatoichi movie
Yes.
with Toshiro Mifune in it, I think.
I don't know if I have that one. Yeah. Zatoichi meets Yojimbo.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Yes, I have that on here as well. I
They're bitchin'.
I have about 6 or 7 samurai movies I got on Amazon Prime, and before I start that, I just kind of watch them, and it kind of gets you in the right mindset.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the Lone Wolf and Cub movies?
Yeah.
They're hyper violent.
Yes.
But they're fun.
Yes.
But they're not near. I think that the Kurosawa movies or like the Zatoichi, the ones that are more like, those are more like period pieces as opposed to
Yes.
Lone Wolf and Cub, which is kind of like live action anime.
Right.
Right? They have a baby cart with spikes on it that they run down. And
Oh
shoot
yeah,
people's legs
I
off
remember
and-
that.
Yeah. That one's ridiculous. But
And what is it called? 13 Ronin? Is it 13 Ronin? 13
13 Samurai?
no.
No.
What is it called? 13 Assassins? No, it's a
no.
fantastic movie.
Because there's the 47 Ronin that turned into something terrible.
Yeah.
Well, the original 47 Ronin, I defy anyone to watch that thing from front to back.
37?
47 Ronin, the original.
47?
40, I think it's 47.
Is it 37?
I thought it was 47.
It could be 37.
Whatever. It's a number with a 7 at the end of it.
Yeah.
But it's in black and white, and it was made by the Imperial Japanese.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was
Yeah.
filmed during World War
It's
II.
propaganda.
That's amazing.
But
right, because it's the Ronin who, like,
The-
we're going to fight, like, avenge their lord, right?
Yeah, well, their lord was at his daimyo's place, and he drew his sword and ended up having to commit seppuku.
Right.
So they were all turned into Ronin. Mm-hmm. And then they...
And you are correct, there were 47.
47, okay. And then they spend, I'm going to guess, 4 hours of the film deliberating on what they're going to do.
So it's actually like a role-playing game.
Yes, it's in 2 parts, and I think each part is between 2.5 to 3 hours.
Nice.
It is a very long film. It moves very slowly, but it's all about these 47 Ronin trying to avenge honorably their daimyo, because they eventually find out that their daimyo was either like poisoned or someone had like laced his drink or something, so he was not in his right mind when he did the affront. 13 Assassins is also a fantastic movie, and that's about a group of that gets hired by a village that is being marauded. This is kind of, there's that sort of samurai era where they were basically fucking thugs.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They were bandits who called themselves nobles.
Right.
Kind of.
Right.
And there's basically some samurai that have been raiding this town, and they go out with all the money they have to hire these 13. They're basically Ronin.
Right.
To basically come together, and it's got one of the longest fight scenes that I like ever.
Nice.
Because it's just set piece after set piece of them making traps and all kinds of things, and the fight scenes are fantastic. But I think that Toshiro Mifune's in that one as well. That
Now-
was it. Maybe.
One caveat I would say is really make sure you take in like media or books or whatever that are written by Japanese people from Japan, because I think that Western people have a very different idea of what feudal Japan was like than what the stuff that I've seen or read from people who are Japanese.
Right.
And so you'll get a much better idea if you make sure that you're getting stuff that, or people who like have studied and are really like well versed in the subject, because there are people who write like a Japanese fantasy thing and just have no fucking clue what they're writing about.
I think also it's important though.
Like the new 47 run,
Yeah, like that bullshit.
I think it's
which has dragons in it.
yeah. Well,
It does?
I think
yeah.
it's
You're
also,
joking.
No, it does. Sorry.
What?
Sorry, my mind is blown.
It's okay. I think it's also important to not. I mean, like I was the one who brought up like learning about it and doing all these things, but it's also important to not bog, especially new GMs, down with too much because like Rokugan is inspired by Japanese fantasy, but it is not Japan.
Right.
So to also make sure that while absorbing all this source material is fantastic and really gets you in the vibe of the game and is a really important thing to kind of appreciate where what the game was inspired from. Like also you don't want to like cut off their creativity. Like if he really wants there to be a dragon there, like let there be a dragon.
There are dragons.
There are dragons
in
in it,
L5R.
yeah.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. It's okay. Like it's not 47 Ronin. Is what was my callback for that.
Yes. I mean, one of the things is
which
that you
one?
have to be
'Cause
aware
one of
of.
them has dragons and one of them doesn't.
One that's bad and doesn't have dragons.
Well, they're both bad. What I'm trying to say more of like is it's very easy to get L5R to turn into D&D with people dressed funny.
Yeah.
And while D&D is fine and playing that is great, I think
People
it's
dress funny in D&D too.
also really well.
Yeah.
In the D&D world, they're dressed funny for them.
Yeah.
How about
Right.
that? It's like, why are you wearing armor like that?
As my ovaries will protect me.
You get the chainmail bikini.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, I was talking about like the full like Japanese armor.
Oh, that's one of the songs I'm writing for the next collection. She wore a
Chainmail
chainmail
bikini,
bikini.
yeah.
I'm kind of based it on Raspberry Beret by Prince.
Nice. Very good. There's a whole cartoon like thing that's written like the womb protection, and it's got a bunch of heroes in chainmail bikinis, and their wombs are glowing to like protect them. But sorry, that was my callback to weird dressing in D&D. So that's what I think of every time. It's like, yeah, it's whatever.
Well, I mean, just fantasy is fucking fantasy. You do weird shit in it all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
And I have no clue. I was
I'm
totally
sorry.
distracted
I
by
totally
chainmail bikinis. What are they going to say? Something about like
Not being D&D.
Not let it
yeah,
turn into
yeah.
D&D with katanas.
Yeah. I mean, like one thing that I'm trying to do when I'm doing, because I'm doing an L5R hack for PBTA, is really look closely at the source material, i.e. Japanese fantasy, but making it not Japan. And very specifically trying to, like I can swerve towards things that are actually Japanese or things that actually happened in the Sengoku period, like way too fast and way too easily. Where like, oh wow, all of my names are actually names of famous people from that period. I should not do that and go back to Rokugani names.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's I think it's always a balancing act from where you're getting your inspiration from. But yeah, I mean, I think it's neat to have a view outside of just the Western focal point, because that's one of the things that I think lets you grow and like do things that are new and interesting.
Absolutely.
Right. Excellent. Well, thank you, Bevan, for the email.
Yeah.
Dealing
Write
with
back
it.
and update us. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
I want to hear how this campaign goes, and that's very exciting.
Oh, and schedule a time. Like we're always going to play on this day at this time, so you make sure that
Make
It
sure
keeps
that
going.
they do their homework
Yeah,
before then.
I do want to take a second to just give a shout out to like how cool a thing this is for a family to do too.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh, I would kill if my kids would do this.
I know it's so annoying.
They won't.
I did that with my stepson with Rifts.
Yeah.
And I said, we're going to just mow tons of people down. And it's like, yeah, this is the best thing ever because Rifts. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
we're going to go destroy the coalition. It's game 2.
So, but like major props to that. That's fantastic. Good job. Good parenting.
Excellent. Dealing with a teenage edgelordling. That's a hard word to say.
Edgelordling.
Trail 88.
Edgelordling.
Yes.
Edgelordling.
You have to do that.
Teenage edgelordling. That's teenage edgelordling.
Blah, blah, blah.
All right. I'll read this one.
All right.
All right. Hello, all you happy jackers. Isaac from Texas in need of advice for a dire situation. I am running a game for my close friends and siblings. My 2 younger sisters, a trio of brothers whom I've known for over 20 years. They are all more or less new to the hobby. I've run 2 games with them before that didn't go very far. This time around, we've been building up to starting a new campaign, and we're all excited. However, there's a problem. The youngest of the brothers is 16 years old and is an edge case. And being that he's never had to deal with the outside world and has access to the internet, his edginess is more than a little grating. In previous 2 games, he's played very chaotic and borderline obnoxious characters, which normally wouldn't be a problem, but for a new player, I don't want him to start festering bad habits. However, this is all secondary to the main thing I have an issue with. When I say he is an edge case, I don't mean he's obsessed with cloak and dagger type character. No, his sense of humor is derived from being shock humor at best, and morbidly offensive at worst, including but not limited to racial and sexual slurs that I don't feel comfortable typing, let alone saying out loud. Holy shit. He doesn't do it often, but it does happen, along with a long list of other things of that nature. Now here's my plight. How do I go about handling this? I do not want to call him out at the table because I think it's the wrong way to handle this. I want to get it taken care of before we start the game. His older brothers, while they can have a dark sense of humor with no filter, do not make their entire personality being like his. Apologies if that sentence wasn't structured right.
I like the word used.
I accept your apology.
Yes, thank you. I don't want to cut him out because I think it would make the whole group fall apart. And more than just the game, I don't want him to go on in life thinking that this type of thing is okay. Hoping to hear from you soon. Many thanks, Isaac from Texas. Drail88 on the forums. P.S. Not applicable. N.A.
Because it's the internet.
Wow.
Well, welcome to humor on the internet nowadays.
Some of it, yes.
Just shout Edgelord, Edgelord, Edgelord until he stops.
No, I don't know if that'll work.
See, okay.
He's a little older because I remember junior high school. This is high school.
No, this is
16
definitely high school. This is like sophomore, junior year.
I remember in junior high school, you kind of push a lot of boundaries. At least we did in the 70s.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
And
no,
That was a long time ago.
people
It was a
try
long time
stuff
ago.
on. And if this is
Yeah.
something, and if he's trying on racist, misogynistic bullshit, like that's a thing kids do, especially, it seems like they're probably from a smaller town, like the internet.
That doesn't matter. It's the internet.
Right.
right,
But
everyone's from the same big festering city.
Right. But especially in small towns, though, there's less.
Less other things, more
other
constructive things to do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
my stepson is 20, and he likes humor like this, and he loves to shout shit like that to his friends when they're like gaming with each other. And then, like with me, I'm like, yeah, dude, don't do that. That fucking pisses me off. And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to piss you off. Just, I think it's funny. It's like, yeah, no, it fucking pisses me off. Please don't. And he's like, all right. And there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
I mean,
personally, I think you have to say something. You can't not call him out. Like,
I agree.
I would preface it so you don't necessarily, like, hopefully you can avoid having to call him out at the table. Like, you can't let things like that at the table stand. Especially, I mean, you just can't let him do that. You don't want that at your table. The other players there, at least some of them probably don't want that there. I can't speak for his brothers, who knows. But I would start with, having a one-on-one conversation with him. Like, hey, this has happened in the past. I've seen, like, what you do at home is fine, but, like, it's not cool at my table. And just give him that advice up front. And then I would have, like, the prep conversation with everybody at the table. Like, before we're, like, I would definitely suggest you do a session 0 for this. And don't be like, hey, you, don't do this. But be like, hey, these are the rules of the table. Like, we're not going to let this happen. This can't happen. We have X cards, so if somebody does something that upsets you, you can tap the X card. Like, that's how I would handle it, first of all. So hopefully, if you've got those rules set down, I mean, he's 16, so no guarantees. But that might head off the problem at the start.
if you don't want to sound like the enemy of fun, then I would corner him and say, dude, just cut that the fuck out. Like, I don't want to hear it. Yeah.
See, I don't think any of that makes you sound like the enemy of fun. Like, to me, sitting down at a table...
No, but
To
from
a
his
16-year-old
perspective...
that's what
right.
I'm saying. It's like to a 16-year-old, like that's gonna.
Yeah,
be
but
a
I
lot.
don't. Honestly, I care about the other people at the table more than I give a shit about that 16-year-old. Like, honestly, like, I work with kids a lot. I care about kids. Behavior like that, like, no. Like, just no.
I'm not saying you should accept it at the table.
Right.
I'm saying that you shouldn't accept it at
right.
the table.
But I'm saying
But,
you
like-
also shouldn't give a shit if you sound like the enemy of fun to that kid. Because he's like, oh, if he's like, oh, that doesn't sound fun, I'm not going to play. You're like, cool. Your brothers can play. Like there's that element of, yeah, you might lose your game, but this is a hill to die on. Like, accepting that shit in your game is not cool, and you shouldn't do it.
Yeah. But if he does leave and gets isolated,
It's not your job to save that kid.
I don't know. Is he related to him?
No.
Oh, he's not. Okay.
No, there's
it's
three
not.
brothers who are in
Okay,
his
all
game.
right, okay.
So he's got two other players who are related to the kid, so that might mess up the game some, but it's not his brother. I'm assuming, because he said, I've known them for 20 years. I'm like, if the kid, like, if he's your brothers, I hope you've known them for always. I don't know. Anyway, that's how I read the email, is that there's a set of three brothers who are coming in to play the game.
He's not. I thought he was related somehow.
But
He's not.
he said there are three brothers.
My close friends and my siblings, my two younger sisters, and a trio of brothers. Okay, so the knights aren't related.
Yeah, because,
Okay.
I mean, at this point, like, if he's saying gross misogynistic stuff, you definitely don't want your sisters having to deal with that.
Right.
Like, you know, sisters before misters or whatever. Like, take care of your sisters and their comfort level at the table.
Well, I think we're all saying that.
Right. Yeah, we are. I'm just giving more. This is something I'm passionate about. I'm not disagreeing with you in any way. I don't think any of us are having a debate about this.
No,
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's trying to keep the game together and keep the kid at the table, which it sounds like he is because he wrote an email here for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Putting it into a situation where it's like you're going to do this or you're going to leave, and he decides to leave, is the opposite of what he's trying to do, is what I'm saying.
Well, he says he doesn't want to call him out at the table, is what he said. So by prefacing
Right.
this and doing
Well,
it
yeah.
like ahead of time, so you're not like, hey, asshole, that was sexist, you
Because
shouldn't do that. Like,
16-year-old boys being called out in front of other people, especially girls,
Right.
they can get violent because they're 16-year-old boys.
been there. Had to write that incident report. But that's why I think kind of prefacing that and setting down the expectation, it's like what I do in my class. We lay down all the rules before anybody has a chance to break any of them. Because, so you do all of that stuff up front, some of it in private, some of it open at the table, not just aimed at him, but for everybody.
Right.
So then he doesn't necessarily feel targeted, but then he knows where the lines are.
Yeah.
I mean, no guarantee that will work because he's 16. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think based on my experience with one person, which is not nearly as much experience as you have with
it's okay.
thousands of kids.
But it is a much more intimate experience, so that's important.
Right. Well, especially because he is more like what I hear in this place. And, like, if I didn't have a bunch of conversations with him, it could be very easy for him to turn into some sort of horrible bullshit thing. So I think communicating with people one-on-one is exceedingly important, especially when people are kind of, like, getting this weird incel radicalization.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
and who knows where this is coming from?
Right.
This might be coming from home.
Yeah, that's
it might
the other
not be
thing.
coming from the internet. No, we don't know.
But, like, just saying in a very personal way with him is like, this fucking sucks. Like, I don't like it. And if you want to do it, then you don't even have to do it if you want to do it. It's just like, I don't fucking like it. So please don't do it. And if he goes like, all right, I won't do it then. And then he does it.
Right. I'd
Alright,
say
dude.
one warning.
Yeah. But obviously, like, this person, if you've known these brothers for a while.
Because he's 16, he's going to test. You're
Yeah,
gonna see,
but
"Are these
also,
rules really
he's-
for me?
If he's 16 and has known this person for a long time, might look up to him.
Yeah.
That's true.
It says he's known the brothers for 20 years. The kid's only 16, so he's obviously known the brothers
Right.
since longer than he's been alive.
And so I still think it's important to have a large tool set, and to talk to this person in a way that they kind of grok and go along with it. And so there's some people, some kids, some boy kids, if you're like, these are the rules, Sometimes they're like, well, you can fuck your rules. And other times, like, don't fucking do that. And it's like, oh, well, there are things I don't want people to fucking do. But, I mean, it's really up to you how much you want this fucking kid in your game.
Right. Well, it kind of sounds like the game's. I think he even says the game's going to fall apart if he's not there.
Yeah.
Because he's probably going to lose the other two brothers or whatever.
Well, and that partially depends on how you go about it. I think if you confronted him at the table and was like, "Hey, asshole, cut it out," like, yeah, you're going to lose the set of brothers. Yeah. If ahead of time you're like, "Hey, these are the rules," and he's like, "Oh, that doesn't sound fun to me. I'm not going to play," like, you might not lose the other two brothers. Then.
That's possible.
I would also try and use something like the X card. And I know for games like this, that's hard because people are hesitant to use it sometimes if it's not already part of game culture. But then it's not just you being the bad guy. Like, then there's like a group culture of, hey, if somebody feels uncomfortable about something, they have a way of communicating that's not necessarily as targeted.
Can I do one caveat to that?
Yeah.
Make sure you use it a lot and like the
Try
first one or two. Like you use it and then other people
Normalize
will.
its
If
use.
you don't
Right.
use it, other people won't. There's just no way.
And maybe even set it up with your sisters ahead of time where like they X card something you say, like even if it's fucking like staged or shit.
Do you think that could backfire? I'm just thinking about when I was a teenager.
I don't know. I think
I would kind of almost back then. Not by 16, I had mellowed out. But when I was in junior high school, if there had existed something like that, I would consider it my personal goal to try to make everyone hit that thing at some point. I was a shit when I was in junior high school.
I think if he was playing with a group of his peers, that would be the case. But it does not sound like it's a group of his peers. He is the youngest, and it sounds by a few years.
Yeah.
So I think if you're playing with people, other 16-year-olds, then that might be a thing that happened. But
They wouldn't even have one.
Yeah, right. They wouldn't have one. But I feel like he's probably, like Tappy was saying, he probably looks up to some of the people at the table. His brothers are going to be there. There's going to be these girls. So I think that might be a thing. But I think that'll just also, it may not work super well. X-Card is something that's still really new, and a lot of tables still isn't functioning 100%.
Shot collar.
Citronella, please, come on. Let's be humane.
Yeah, I would actually like to advise you not to use the shot collar on your
Citronella. Yeah, I can get a citronella collar.
No,
and then just spray citronella.
But and that way you're not always the person saying no.
You could put bleach in it.
Don't do that.
Nothing straightens you out like bleach in the eyes. All right. Well, let us know how this works out.
Yeah.
We don't get a lot of emails like that.
That wasn't a look to me.
No.
Good job for trying to handle it. I think
Yeah.
that's important.
And bringing gaming to the Utes.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna mess up sometimes.
Players choosing to fail from Ben in Texas. 2 emails from Texas.
Nice.
Who is reading this one?
Hola, happy jackers. I wanted to chime in real quick on a question from last week, in which a player was not allowed to choose to fail a dice roll. My understanding is that the player wanted the outcome of his character's actions to be different than what he said the character intended.
Right.
He wanted his character to act out of a fit of rage and kill a prisoner by accident. In this case, failing a dice roll meant that the player's intent is successful and not the character's intent.
Correct.
It seems clear to me that the player should only be allowed to choose to fail the dice roll if this is also what their character would do. Doing otherwise robs the game of the drama that comes from seeing how the dice land. I think the roll should have been made. If the roll failed, then the character kills the prisoner by accident and has to live with the consequences of that. Oh no, what have I done? If the roll succeeded, then the character comes to their senses before killing the prisoner. Now the player should be asked to choose whether the character goes through with the murder, is this who I am now, or stops himself, I should have killed them when I had a chance. That's 3 possible outcomes with great dramatic consequences for the story. The crux here, to me, is that the character had the ability to kill the unconscious prisoner at will. No roll necessary unless the outcome was in question. So if the player had said they were all just going to kill the prisoner, I think no roll needed at that point. If the GM thinks that it's not interesting enough, or have another NPC walk in, or make them roll stealth to see if their action is hidden. Key point is, don't let it be boring. Players getting their way every time without risk of consequences is boring. The DM shouldn't dictate the character's actions for sure. They should always steer the story towards more interesting or satisfying outcomes and maximize player engagement. My 2 cents, Ben from Texas. I don't know if I agree with this.
Well, as I recall, it's from the original email, the guy sort of, the player sort of declared an intent and then kind of came up with this accidentally killing them thing, or unintentionally killing them, or however you want to say
He
it.
wanted to create some sort of drama for his character.
Right. Afterwards. And that's when the GM said you need to make a control roll or something in order to see if that happens.
I think they decided that after they made the roll, if I remember correctly.
I think they didn't want to make the roll, I think.
No, they were fine with the roll, but after they succeeded the roll to keep control, they were like, oh, can I choose to fail that roll and have my character lose control? I think is how that went, because I feel like we talked about...
The order of operations?
The order of operations? No, you don't teach that in Common Core. No,
Well,
but
the
like...
order of operations is not just math.
I know, I'm just kidding. It was
Luckily.
my bad joke, Tappy. It was my bad math joke. Come on.
Well, here I got the email right here in front of me because I keep.
We were stalling. Go ahead.
You know, I have all of the show notes from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Every document.
Wow.
We should do that. We should do a special episode where we go back and read some of the crazy stuff.
We can do it right now.
Not right now.
Let's see. I'm going to take his head and just hold it underwater for a minute, maybe 3. GM, okay. Make it. Oh wait, let me read a little bit ahead or behind. Despite myself, all the characters are high schoolers on the school tournament combat team. As a part with the course of the GM, we eventually get caught up with the end of the world bullshit. After a hard fought and barely won fight with a street gang responsible for deaths of thousands only weeks prior, my character, a 17-year-old hothead French exchange student, had...
Oui, I will fight you.
Do you ever notice that French people always go at the end of their sentence? They always go, I'm going to take shit.
Please keep reading.
I'm going to have beer.
Oh my god.
Had a moment alone with a very unconscious character, leader of this gang. The following is a very abridged retelling of the discussion between me and the GM. Me, I'm going to take his head and just hold it underwater for a minute, maybe 3. GM, okay, make a composure check to see if you actually kill him. Me, this guy literally single-handedly responsible for killing thousands of people, like friends and family we knew. This would actually solve a lot of problems going on right now. Can I just fail the roll? GM, no, make the check. So... the player, according to this abridged version, if it's accurate, originally just wanted to hold the guy's head underwater for a while.
That's right.
And the GM decided, because of what this guy's done, I'm going to have you make a composure check to see if you can actually kill him. Mm-hmm. And then the player is saying, ooh, that's even more interesting, says, can I just fail that roll? Mm-hmm. So, and I'm trying to remember, I think I was in favor of letting the player fail. I don't remember.
I think we weren't.
I had a situation that was kind of... I'm okay with the player filling the role, I think. I don't remember.
I think we all decided we weren't.
No, here's the thing. So I was in a game played long ago that Jim was running. And it was Jim and myself and Mike and another friend of ours. And it was a near future science fantasy kind of game. He wanted it to be kind of street level, so Mike made like this grizzled war veteran. I made a drug addict, and our other friend wanted to make a ninja. And he was like, "You can't make a ninja. This is a street level game."
Play
like,
a ninja.
I want to make a ninja. It's like, no, just roll on the table. It all had all these tables for character creations, and he rolls like a d6 and rolls ninja. And you're like, "See, I can be a ninja." It's like, "Fine, you be a ninja." So he spent the entire game being a ninja, not with the group. So it's just myself and Mike's characters going up, just being just complete idiots. I took negatives throughout the entire game because I was on drugs. And we were just like, so the ninja was kind of like helping us out the whole time. But for some evil magic, I was the only one who could ever make a perception check to see the ninja. It's a ninja! And we're like, it's not a fucking ninja. There's no ninjas here. So over and over again, I'm seeing the ninja. And everybody just thinks I'm hallucinating. And then at the very end, like, the ninja throws like a ninja star and misses. And goes, like, right near my character. Goes, I knew it! It's a ninja! It's a ninja! And I, like, jumped on the table like me. It's ninja! It's a fucking ninja! Because my character had thrown the ninja star. Right? And then nobody believed my character again.
Right.
Should I have had to make a roll to accidentally lose that ninja star? No. Would it have been more dramatic if I had the ninja star? Maybe. Like, all of these things are dramatic. Killing the guy, not killing the guy, they're all dramatic.
Yeah, leaving him alive to go and do horrible shit again, it could be just as dramatic as accidentally killing him.
So, really, what it comes down to is, like, what's fun right now?
Right.
Because you're going to go somewhere interesting. So he has all of these possibilities here of, like, what could be dramatic, what's fun. And, you know, I really think it's kind of like you can just go either way. Really, like, I think it's totally fine for the character to accidentally lose the ninja star, even though the character, more than anything, wants to hold on to that star to show everybody he's not fucking crazy.
Right.
Hint, he's crazy. So, I mean, especially before you roll, it's like, I think my character would lose control. I think my character would do this. Wouldn't want to.
Right.
But he would. Is kind of the crux here.
Yeah, I think when we originally talked about this, I felt I came down on the side of the player, but I seem to recall saying that if the GM sinned here at all, it is a very, very minor sin.
Yeah.
I think that's what I said, and it really is kind of it really could kind of go either way. My tendency is the player says, I want to do this thing, and it is not something where the outcome is uncertain. Let the player do the thing.
Right.
This is a kind of a weird situation because the GM is the guy who brought up the fact that you might lose control because of the situation and everything that's happened so far in this campaign.
Yeah.
So I want you to make a composure roll to see if you keep your shit together or not. But I don't think there's anything wrong with the player saying, "Can I just fail that roll?" and letting them fail it,
or just say, "Can I accidentally drown this person? I want to hold it under because I'm angry at them,
right?
But I want to accidentally drown them."
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a fine thing to say.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's also cool to actually leave that to chance, though. Like, I see and that's just like my player type. Like, I fail rolls all the fucking time, and it makes my game so much better.
Right.
But like having that randomness, I could see why the GM would also like the idea of having it be randomized.
And I can see the benefit in that as well.
Yeah.
You know,
because like you said, like it's an interesting story either way.
Yeah. And not knowing where the story is going to go and playing to see what happens is part of the fun.
Yeah.
But you know, I think it really is a like case by case thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think like in this case especially, like it's not necessarily that the GM, I don't feel necessarily is taking away player agency in this. Like they didn't dictate. They didn't dictate to the player this is what's happening. They were like, let the dice decide. So I don't know. I feel like the randomizer part of it.
I agree with you, but only because it looks like from the little dialogue there that the GM is the one that came up with this very interesting possibility.
That's a huge point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If the player had been like, I want to figure out if I can do this, and the GM was like, no, then I think that would be different. But the GM brought up the possibility, and then the player kind of went with it.
Because he specifically said, I'm going to take his head and hold it just underwater for a minute, maybe 3.
Right.
That's not going to kill him.
No, they didn't want to kill them when they first said it.
Well, let's look at that other side then. Let's look at the player wanting to accidentally kill it. Is it okay for the GM to say, I would like you to roll?
Yeah.
But you just said that it would be different if that wasn't the case. If it wasn't the case that the GM came up with the thing.
I wouldn't make the player roll.
Well, see, I think the fact that they're rolling is what keeps it from taking away the agency. It's like, let's see what the dice say. Like, you can try it. If the answer is that basic answer, if you can try and do that, let's see what really happens.
I think either answer is fine.
Yeah.
Getting back to Ben's email, you have in here is a conflict between what the player wants and what the character wants. Generally, because that's basically what he says. The player wanted, once this idea was presented, the player wanted to accidentally kill the guy, but it wasn't the character's intention.
Right.
I'm generally kind of the opinion that the player should win that conflict most times, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that would be weird to have some sort of arbitrator say, no, you have to do what the character would do.
Right, because at that point
what would the character do?
really
well,
are.
I'm the player. I determine what my character would do.
That's the only thing you get to determine, and you can't really take that away.
Right, but there are also lots of different systems that have composure rolls and things like that. Like, we've talked about L5R a bunch tonight. Like, there's, in the new Fantasy Flight version, isn't there like a composure thing that we had to roll?
Yeah, it's a very long, complicated chapter, I believe.
It's really not, things like that.
I don't remember.
Well, let's not bring up that system as...
So I think, again, having someone roll to see if they can keep control or not. Like, I don't know. I think it can go either way.
Usually things that are keep control have certain triggers, right? Like you see that sometimes in vampire, etc. Where if you especially with werewolf in the one that we're working with in the Autumn People, where it's if the werewolf tastes blood, he might go into death rage and kill everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
And guess what? Werewolves taste blood all the time because they bite people.
Yeah.
And so those roles become very, very interesting because, oh shit, that one guy could kill everybody. But if you're thinking about triggers, is killing a person a trigger in this game where people are killing each other? Trying to define what is these characters' breaking points. That's one of the things that they use a lot in the 180,000 rules that are in Chronicles of Darkness, is this idea of breaking points.
Right.
And these are the things that make you roll to see if you lose your points of sanity. I forget what they're fucking called.
Right. See, I think to me this kind of comes down to the fact that the player is trying to come up with something that is going to complicate the character's life. And I generally, if a player wants to do something that's going to complicate their character's life, I'm going to let them do it.
Yeah.
For the most part.
I generally GM that way too.
That is my role for myself too.
Right.
If I'm going to complicate my life, I will let myself do that.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's not if he's not unconscious, you have to make a roll to kill him. Oh, can I just fail? Well, no, you're actually trying to kill him, so you actually have to try to kill him. This is you've given me an idea as the GM, it asked me to make a roll on something to see if this thing that I'm not intending to do, I'm actually going to kind of do by accident. And I'm seeing repercussions for this down the line, and I think that might be interesting. So can I just do it? So I don't know. I mean, there's the whole thing about the GM is the arbiter of the rules, and the GM says, okay, make this roll. I don't want to make that roll. Can I just determine the results? I understand that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That thing. But in this situation, this isn't a player trying to win by not having to roll the dice. This is a player trying to complicate their character's story.
It's what we call an edge case, or an edgelord.
An edgelord case.
No.
Yeah, it is very difficult, I think, to talk about this kind of thing. I think this is a little more than just failing a roll.
Yes.
Because this is not general at all.
No.
And I think it's very interesting to think about. And
the thing is, I don't feel that strongly.
Yeah.
On the side I'm taking, and I'm reading this thing, I'm like, I understand I totally understand where you're coming from, and I could see how you could come down on the other side of this, and I don't think you're wrong in doing so, because this is It's a very gray area.
Well, and it's a win-win situation. Like, no matter what happens there, whether the character kills the bad guy or lets the bad guy live, there's a bunch of cool consequences either way.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
your allies find out you let the guy who's murdered thousands of people live. You're fucked if you kill him. Like all these things.
Or you just feel bad that you let him go and he
Yeah.
murdered more people.
Yeah,
It's like,
like-
oh, fuck.
Yeah. So either way, it's an
Yeah.
interesting game, I think. So I think
Or
that's
you
one
kill
of
him
the
and they
reasons-
put you in prison.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I think that's one of the reasons I'm less like, yes, this is because like either way, it was the dice are fair. It's not like if the GM had just shut them down and be like, no, you can't kill him. Like that's a problem.
Yeah.
But like so it's like okay, so there's a little bit of elements of chance, and then either storyline is interesting.
Yeah.
But again, like going back to the weirdo example I did, where like either way, if I have a ninja star of an actual ninja that I've been telling these people around the whole time, and why is this techno ninja following us around? That can be an interesting story.
Yeah.
As well as he's here, he's really here, and nobody believing me for the rest of the game. Like, is it important to like having that like really real like thing that shows something is happening or this thing is happening? Is that more interesting or less interesting? Do I, as a player, I want to be an idiot. Like this character, I want to be an idiot and accidentally win because typically my guys are hyper good at whatever it is I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
So I think this is really my first foray into having a character who's good at nothing, and it was a blast. Fucking blast. But like in that, like, is this about drama, or is this about fun right now? Like what are we doing? So I think it kind of depends on the gravitas of the situation too.
Yeah.
I mean, if it doesn't fucking matter, you can throw the ninja star and we'll just keep going.
Right.
Then let's just keep going.
Yeah, I really could, depending on the day of the week, I could come down on the other side on this.
Yeah. I agree.
All right. Well, that's it.
Awesome.
You get to hear the new anthem.
Ooh, exciting.
Make sure everything's working and I'm not fucking up. I'll try not to talk over it this one time.
Oh, Happy Jack's RPG podcast, the show we love the most. With bad advice and humor crass from each and every host. And though the show won't start on time, the wait won't be in vain. For the host will drink and yammer on till no emails remain. Oh, Happy Jack's our patron saint of the skillful game master. Oh, guide us well with yes ending to avert a disaster. Whether fate or GURPS or millions of apocalyptic acts, fellow listeners and every host will always have our backs. Unless you're playing D&D and then they'll give you crap.
There. You got to hear the whole thing uninterrupted. And you can buy that. You can go on iTunes right now and buy that song, along with 4 others, brand new. Angry Folk Band. All one word. Go search for it. You'll find all 3 collections, and you can get them on all fine music e-tailers everywhere. And that's it. And I'll leave you with... should I leave them with another song?
Yeah, another one off the album.
I'll give them another one.
All right. We'll see.
We're just
We
going
can
to do
say
the whole
goodbye
album
now.
so you can listen to
Yeah,
it.
we should say
Yeah,
goodbye.
don't
for a
you rip the songs off of this podcast, though.
This is
You
what
go
you should
buy
do over
this
them.
shit. What did I played Boom Boom Boom, right?
second. Yeah.
Should I play the whole 1,000 Souls?
Sure, yeah.
All right.
But, yeah.
Huh?
We have to say goodbye.
Oh, bye. Hi.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for season 24, episode 19 of Happy Chicks RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name's Kimmy.
And I am a meat popsicle.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week, Friday. Thank you very much.
This is our 10-year anniversary.
Our 10-year
Yay.
anniversary. Yay!
Yay!
We did so much for it.
Yeah, we got a new anthem.
We got a new anthem.
Yeah.
Yeah, look what I did!
Yeah.
Totally by accident, too.
Bye,
All right,
guys.
Here you go.
An entire ham out of ants.
If I told you the things I've seen on my ways, if I told you the things I've done in my days, you wouldn't believe me anyway. So it's best I just don't say. I've lived 1,000 lives, I piloted 1,000 souls, I killed and fought and died just for a single role. If I sang a song to you from my trail of the struggles and ordeals and travail, would you listen till the end? Could you even comprehend? I've lived 1,000 lives, I piloted 1,000 souls, I killed and fought and died just for a single role.
The preceding program has been a presentation of the Angry Folk Media Empire.
Bum, 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 bum.